Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Dakota Hope, who will fight on LFA 210 June 13th. Hello, Dakota. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, and thank you for taking the invitation for the interview. And in about like 4 or 5 weeks, you will face, I think, that overall really good opponent, really like busy opponent who likes to takes a lot of fights. It will be
Yes.
Jeremy Henry. So, if you can tell me, what do you think about him as the opponent, and did you think that he will be like the biggest challenge of your career?
Thank you for having me on today. And for my opponent, I do notice he likes to take a lot of fights. And I think that, as always, every opponent for me is dangerous. I always go into that fight looking at them like this is the best opponent I've faced. Because when you don't do that, you can start getting complacent. And, because if I just look at how I stack up against him skill for skill, it's easy to say, okay, you got this. We beat him here, here, and here. And of course, we know that we crush him in all those areas, and he has his strong areas as well. But that's why I look at him. I look at each opponent as my most dangerous opponent. That's I don't like every opponent is the most dangerous. So he's for sure my most dangerous so far because I haven't faced him yet. No one fighter is the same, even though you can see similarities. So he's definitely, I'd say, my most dangerous opponent. But that is exactly why he's being approached as such, and we're not leaving anything off the table. No stone unturned. We're sharp. I'm training with some of the best grapplers and strikers that Canada has to offer here at Team 360 MMA in Montreal.
And of course, it will be your LFA debut. And do you have like more fights on the contract with this promotion?
No, not yet. We were actually on tap to fight for a title for them, but we were offered a title fight here in Canada and for BFL against a very hot prospect who's actually going to be on the Contender Series this summer. Radley De Silva, he said yes, and then a couple weeks later, he decided to say no, which I understand. It didn't make sense to fight someone as dangerous as me who was going to beat him and mess up his opportunity for the UFC and Contender Series. But that's when we also got the LFA offer, but we got that after we'd already accepted for Radley. So we of course had to say no because once I give somebody my word, I'm gonna fight and be there. I show up. So I didn't want to say yes to BFL and then hop on LFA. But now that that's no longer on the table with that, he's on Contenders. I'm hoping to have more fights in LFA in the future and fight for their title next. But I'm focused on Jeremy Henry first and beating him.
Yes, definitely. He's like the fighter that you can't not think about because he's like dangerous everywhere. So probably it's like a very good mindset to be focused just on like the upcoming task.
It's
Uh,
100%,
and
100% agree.
And actually, when I watched your fight and like studied a little bit your career, I saw a few interesting things. Like on topology, you are 3-0 as the amateur, but all of the fights actually are against really good fighters. The fighters that made like very good pro career, like Justice Torres, who was like Fury featherweight champion, Don Doyle. So overall, very good fighters, and it's kind of rare that it was like short career, but you beat fighters that were like really successful in their pro career.
100%. It's refreshing to hear somebody that did their research like this and sees this. So thank you for doing that deep dive and studying my career like that. And 100%, I agree with it all. And that it's things like that why, honestly, when we take a fight like a Jeremy Henry, we can be confident because since an amateur, as you said, all those guys were more experienced as amateurs, and a lot of people don't take fights like that. So I was doing that as an amateur, and the only reason that I switched to pro as fast as I did is because my coaches and my team believed that I was ready based off that. So when we take a fight like a Jeremy Henry, it's because it's no different than in the amateurs when we were taking the most dangerous fights at the time and we were dominating those guys and beating them. So with Henry, again, my team we've looked at everything with him. we're prepared, and it's the things that we've been doing since the beginning, taking fights, where we can analyze everything and break them down to win.
And other interesting thing is that you made your pro debut in Philippines, right?
Yes, sir. Philippines. Love it. Makati City.
Why did this thing happen? Because I believe that all your amateur bouts were in the US, and then it's like definitely other part of the world.
Yes, for sure. It's interesting, but basically, it's like they say, high risk, high reward. No, it's fortune favors the bold. After I got my last amateur fight and I won that title, I was reached out by a team over there in Asia, and they said, "We saw your fight. We are building a team. Well, we have a team, and we're building it up. We would like for you to sponsor you and everything. We'll cover everything, travel, all that." And I said, okay, of course. And so I went over there, and they looked, and I got picked up by a management company, and they got me my fight in Philippines. It's actually Dagestani management company that picked me up, and so Wild Hearts was the name of them at the time, and they picked me up, and I'm actually coached by that manager's younger brother now, Anvar, and he still coaches me to this day. So over there, when I'm training at my home base team in Thailand, Sunkin MMA, so that's where that started, and they watched me, saw everything they needed to see, and they say, "You're ready to make the jump to pro." So they booked me that fight versus that opponent, and got my first win in Philippines. Love the Filipino people. Gotta go back.
And
Really good people.
also it was like title fight.
Yes, it was a title fight. And, as you see, my whole career is like I'm fighting people that are, ahead of me in that area like that, just starting off. And a lot of people don't know that guy was also a professional boxer before he switched to MMA. Of course, he wasn't the best boxer and he wasn't the best MMA fighter at the time, but he still had a lot more experience than I did in the combat sports. But again, they watched me, they saw what they needed to see, and they were like, okay, this guy's ready for that. Not to mention as well, I was like 3 or 4 or 5. I know it wasn't more than 5 pounds away for weight for that fight, for making weight. And then the night before the weigh-ins, we get a call, hey, he needs to fight at 150. And we're like, what? And I was like, you know what? I was like, all right. And then call back. The fight needs to be at 155. And we're like, dude. And so I think they called back one more time. So that fight was like a bit heavier than 155. I believe he called back 3 times saying he couldn't make the weight. Obviously, just looking for an advantage. And again, it goes back to us the same thing in the beginning of my career is now in the Henry fight. Like you said, it's a dangerous opponent. The reason I could accept a fight like that, my first pro fight, someone more experienced than me who kept asking for the weight to go up, even though I was already on weight, basically 5 pounds away from it, is because I was so prepared. I knew that even with him having that kind of advantage, it didn't matter because I was locked in and I know I was coming to get him, which I did. And it's the same for this Henry fight. It goes back to the beginning of my career. I can take a fighter like this because I realize the threat that he poses, but I also know the threat that I pose to his life and his career. So when you have that with the work ethic and the team I have around me, I know that he will lose to me and I will win. So
But when your opponent is not able to make a weight, you can consider this as the cheating. But also it's also you can say that he's breaking even before the fight because it's part of your job. And
yes.
if it's not 1 pound, but it's if it is 10 pounds, it means that he will losing even before the fight.
100%, I agree with that, and I'm glad that you're bringing that up because I see a lot of guys and they see people miss weight and they're like, oh, that's an advantage for this guy. And in some cases, of course, it might be, but people say this, but then they don't look at it how you just look at it and how I look at it. When you can't make your weight, your contracted weight, you've already broken mentally. And I think we're getting away from that now because I hear people talk about the stat where it's like oh, this fighter, when they miss weight, they have this much of a winning percentage over fighters who they chose to fight them still. And okay, that's true, but I feel like people aren't looking at the other side of it, which is if the opponent would look at it more like the mental side, I think the records wouldn't be like that with the guys who have a higher win percentage that miss weight. Because it's like you said, if you and me are working at a steel mill and we show up late to work, nobody's gonna say, "Oh, that was smart. They got more sleep." They got more sleep. It's like, no, you didn't do your damn job. You're probably gonna get fired, and now you look worse for the boss. So I agree with you. When you don't make weight like that, it just shows mental weakness. It shows you're trying to get some kind of advantage because, hey, you know,
And also in your career, there were like about a 2 year break like between 2022 and 2024. And at that point, were you like injured, or it was planned to have a little bit break from the sport?
the one thing I see you do your research again is the one thing is about that I've been blessed with by God is that I haven't had injuries, so I'm thankful to God for my genetics, for my family, mom and my dad. But it wasn't injuries; it was the COVID was a big part of that. So the COVID, and then on top of the COVID, I had a problem where I had I'll say what's a good way to put this? I'll say a disagreement with a disagreement with the promoter that held me back from being able to fulfill my career at that time the way I needed to. Because I don't like being a negative guy. The past is the past. We can just learn from it, and move on. So but the first break was the COVID. You remember that everything was so shut down. So we were trying to get fights, couldn't get fights. The minute I came back from that break, I get that first round knockout under 30 seconds. We were waiting, but that was all built up. But this last break, like I said, it was just a we're humans. We're men. We all have testosterone. We're gonna have disagreements. So I had didn't see eye to eye with a certain person that had control of my career at the time, and I wasn't able to fulfill my fights like I wanted to at that time. But that's in the past now. I'm grateful for that learning experience, and now I'm just ready to do what I will do and defeat Jeremy Henry.
And also, when I checked your IG, I saw that you train with a few places. I saw like including boxing squad, the French team.
Yes.
And how do you like it? Because I remember that they have like a very, very good lightweight fighter, Axel Sola, who is like one of the best prospects from Europe, and who I think also will be in the UFC quite soon. And how do you like training with them?
That first off, I want to say, Axel everybody brought was the killer. I know they had Axel Ilian, a light heavyweight. I trained as well, sparred with him, and they had another middleweight you probably know. I forget his name.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Eugene, yes, but yes,
Yes, and
6-0, I believe.
yes, that's him. And the Axel, they were all great guys. Have here, great personalities. We got good rounds. I enjoyed training with them. It's good training with them. He's a killer, like you said. He's for sure going to be in the UFC and fighting for a title in the future at 155. And it was good training because I like training with guys like that because you can test your skill. It's no egos. So we just really get to see how does my martial arts and what I do here, how does it match up with what they do and their style on the regular. So that was really good. And like you said, that's one of the best teams in the world. They have Malone's fighting for the title this weekend. So their work speaks for itself, and of course, Axel and his teammates, their own careers. Them. On the other side of the world in Poland. We know them here over in Montreal. So they're really good guys, and I look forward to training with them more in the future.
And right now in Montreal, what is like your home gym right now?
Right now in Montreal, my home gym is Team 360 with Sifu Mark Beauchamp. And I'm here with guys like Antoine Chaput. He's fighting this week on Friday, May 9th at the Samurai MMA event. The Dana White looking for a fight. So he's going to be in there, get a win, kick his guy's ass, bring his record up, another win. And also Diego Santos. He's a Brazilian fighter who's also fighting at 135 there. He's going to kick his guy's ass, bring his record up. And it's great training with the guys here. Sifu Mark, he's really devoted coach, and he really has a mind for fighting. I know people say that a lot about their coaches, but he brings that traditional martial arts, and he mixes that with the MMA. And it really reminds you of John Jones coaches, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn. They got that Wing Chun, that traditional martial arts, and they mix it very well and marry the two. So that's what I like about him. Of course, obviously, living and training in China, and my main gym being Sunken MMA, that was huge for me because I can see lots of the similarities and the discipline and just the mental aspect of it. And I think that gets overlooked a lot, but it's why I'm able to take the fights I take and have the confidence to, take them and know that it's really nothing, the other guy can do against me when we're locked in that cage. And it's the same for Jeremy Henry because I'm on a team here at Team 360 in Montreal that we really go to the mental aspect of it. We break every single piece of film and everything down. And I'm not going to say, oh, I know this guy better than he knows himself. Of course we don't know that. But in terms of his tendencies, it's like my last opponent in China. It's so many different things that people don't know that we have that we look at with them. Like my last opponent in China, he, found out later on, but I trained with Tang Ka, the world champion from one championship, and another teammate, the JCK champion, Wan Ji Jun. They were both training partners with him when they were growing up in their teen years to young adults. So that's a whole other layer on top of the work that we put in that we know about him. And as for Jeremy Henry, my next victim, we'll call it, on June 13th, I know something this doesn't even have to do with fighting. Well, I guess it does because I have we have, let's just say we have another insight into that takes you beyond the fighting, and so it's a lot more than just technique, and that's what we break down here because a lot of people they look at how I feel like they look at a lot of this stuff like, oh, he's athletic, he's explosive, but here we're breaking down, okay, what does he do when he gets the pressure put on him? What does he do when he's pressing you? Okay, what are his go-tos? What is this? So everything we work, we're working what we're strong at, but fortunately I have a team where we can tweak to where we can do what we're strong at and how would you say, force it on him, but we're also ready for what he does because we watch so much of him. And we don't take him lightly. Jeremy Henry, he's a very dangerous opponent. My last opponent in China, he has 60-plus professional kickboxing fights with a winning record in it. His coach is the best K1 kickboxer in China right now with the 66 kg or 172 kg weight class. We had the game plan around that if it got to the striking. It didn't because he went out on the wrong, not gonna say wrong angle, but I guess what they worked, but he didn't do the angle that we thought he was gonna go. So he gave us something that allowed us to end the fight really early. But again, we're taking these guys who have these backgrounds and that are dangerous opponents, and then we know so much about them and how to beat them. And Henry's the same. He's dangerous, but that danger is almost bad for him because we don't overlook him. We haven't we haven't let anything unturn. We're ready. Our cardio, which is the most important in fighting, is your cardio. Our cardio is at a really high level right now, so that means we can do whatever we want to do for as long as we can do it. And as you know, with my career, I'm used to fighting for 25 minutes as well. So it's 15 minutes now.
Yes, you have this championship experience, and I think that it can give you confidence, because you know when you can fight for 25 minutes like in good pace, you for sure know that you can do it the same, even better for 15 minutes.
Exactly, 100%, 100.
And I think that right now you are in the quite interesting moment of your career, because you have a good record. You fought against good guys. You were like a regional champion. You are in LFA, so there are a lot of good points in your career. When you are thinking about your like near future, do you see yourself in the UFC maybe next year?
To be honest, I'm focused on Jeremy Henry, June 13th. I'm focused on Jeremy Henry because I see everything you're saying. That's what we're looking at. But I know to do anything with that in the UFC or anybody else, it goes through Jeremy Henry on June 13th at LFA 210. And I know that with the work we're putting in, I'm gonna do what I do, train hard, keep my head down, keep my nose down. This is so important right here. What's between our two ears, and that's locked in, and that's strong. So you know where we're going. You know, I think you see the team I have around me. You know, my team. You know, I have always have guys that are at that top level of the sport. So of course that's where I'm aiming at. But I know that none of that matters unless I need to do it. Jeremy Henry on June 13th, and that's why I will do. I need to do it, Jeremy Henry, and I'm gonna finish him, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna finish him. It's gonna be very, very good. You know, I think about him so much at times. I think about that guy all the time because I know that, you know, like you said, I have those 2-year layoffs that weren't for anything I did. That's 4 years right there because of COVID, another situation that I can't get back. Well, I won't say it like that. It taught me a lot, but all of that goes into why I'm ready to do what I need to do against Jeremy Henry, because I want to be where you just said. I want us to be doing this interview, you know, at the end of the year, and I'm in the UFC and we're talking about my upcoming fight because I took a fight on short notice, you know, and you're asking me about how do I match up with this guy, you know, but that all starts with Jeremy Henry. So that's why I'll do what I need to do to get him out of there and make his life hell on June 13th.
And about UFC, do you have maybe one name that you really like to watch? Maybe fighter from your division or any other, but fighter from the UFC?
Can it be is it a current fighter or a past fighter?
Yeah, no, it can be a fighter who like retired, no problem.
For me personally, I really love Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think that woman's amazing. Her technique, how she carries herself. I always liked how she was so real, you know. I don't like these fake nice fighters who act a certain way. Because you've dealt with them, these guys who smile, thank you. And they're not that guy really. That's how they feel like they need to be. But I liked how Joanna with her, you know it was business. You know from the beginning, she's in there, you know, she's in there to kill you. She's gonna she's gonna try to kill you. And she kept it like that, but she's respectful and humble. But it's business or it's fighting. It's not a that's why I don't say fighting is a sport. Because what we do is not a sport. You know, it's real life consequences. The damage we've taken there, you're walking out with that. You're gonna carry it the rest of your life. You know, when you're having kids and they want to go play soccer, you're gonna feel the injury you got in a fight. You're gonna feel this, which is why I go in there always to dominate and get my opponent out of there so it doesn't happen. So I like how Joanna had that mentality and her technique, you know, was second to none. You know, and she's just really, you know, and we're not even get started on how beautiful she is. She's amazing. She's, you know, like a beautiful champion. I really love watching Joanna, and I watch a lot of her for technique also. I feel like female fighters are, you know, I feel like they're I feel like they're smarter than males with the game, with the not the game, but the fighting. You know, I just feel like they don't they're a lot more. I see when something happens, and it seems like where guys, you know, that emotion just gets in, and we're going for the kill. The game plan kind of leaves. I see women, it seems like, not that it doesn't happen, but they navigate that a bit more than men do, you know?
Yes, she definitely was a great champion. She had so many title defenses, and even like the it was like a fight against Carla Esparza when she won the title. It was like crazy good performance. One of the like top 10, let's say,
Yes.
performances.
Yes, her fight versus Cookie Monster, that was crazy because it was like, how's she gonna do against this wrestling? You know, this collegiate wrestler who's a beast. And that's the thing about Joanna, she was so covered in those aspects of the game, she could do what she wanted to do. You know, and I mean, you let me tell her, I think she can still be fighting right now and go win a title. Me personally, I believe she can go win a title right now. If she just chooses to come in. She's like in that Amanda Nunes space where they can come back right now and be at the top. And it's like we said again with Joanna, she got really good at stifling and stopping the grappling and the wrestling so that she could do what she wanted to do with the kickboxing. And again, going back to my fight with Jeremy Henry, that's the same thing we do. It's like we said, we're looking at his skills, all of them, but sometimes, as you know, you can get so mixed up in what someone else is gonna do, you don't do what you want to do. But that's why we train in all these areas to neutralize what he does so that we can do what we want to do and outstrike him and keep it on the feet in our areas and keep it at the boxing and kickboxing and Muay Thai ranges. So again, that's one thing I love about Joanna. Shut their game down and then she started going. And when she starts going, you know, Joanna throwing everything at you: knees, elbows, kicks, punches.
Okay, Dakota. So many thanks for the time and for the conversation. I think that your fight against Jeremy is like really on the paper, like really exciting about, and I hope that with a win you will get like move to like either like in the way of the LFA title or maybe some other direction, but definitely the win will help you to go further.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and for the interview and you taking the time out your day to interview me. And I hope to talk to you again. And actually, we should do this again if you have time. After I defeat Jeremy Henry, we should schedule an interview for the week after I beat him if you have time, so we can get back on it and discuss what's next. Because then I can answer some more questions. You know, after we finish the task at hand.